Hi, welcome to Scofield Farm. I'm Carice. Today, you're in my kitchen with me. We are going to do some very normal homesteading tasks, chores that I have to do in processing food, show you some things we've done this week, and we are going to talk today about overcoming homestead challenges because I know I have had my fair share of challenges to overcome, things I'm currently working on. I have a feeling, I'm not alone, I have a feeling that someone watching this video will relate and maybe be inspired to press through and overcome the challenges that you're facing on your homestead in growing food and providing for your family. I'm happy to have you with me. Let's talk as we get started. I'm going to show you what I'm working on right now, which is processing tons of celery from the garden. We grew so much celery. We grew much more celery than I anticipated or probably honestly needed. But I had it, I grew it. They're such tiny little seeds. When you plant them, they don't seem like they're going to be a lot, but they actually get really, really large. Some of this might be past its prime, but more on that later. Let's get started. I do want to show you some stuff we did this week that is using food we grew in a way that our family can eat it and enjoy it just in normal life.
Closer than dreams was the enemy. The restless one had been right. They must move from Tuliani. Where?
My husband says that my greatest strength is my realness. And so we are going to get really real today, really real. I have had a harder year in 2025 than I anticipated. I thought this was a year the homestead was going to be easier. We were going to get on our feet. Things were going to move smoothly. If you've been with me for a while, you know I've had a lot of physical issues in 2024. But this year started with a death in our family, and I just can't pull up. I don't seem to be able to focus on the things I want to do. Let me show you how my seed starts look because I did start seeds and I had a video that I'll link in the description below about why my seeds were started late this year. But they're growing, they're coming up and stuff. It's just later than it has been in the past. And we are mid-March. We usually plant mid-April. I feel like I'm not going to probably be planting out till May. It did randomly decide to snow here in the middle of March and even stick, which is absolutely craziness. Maybe waiting to plant was a good idea.
Yep, this is actual snow. Oh my gosh. It's like white on the ground. Let's see how long this lasts and if it sticks. I mean, it's sticking, but if it actually makes it hard to drive.
That's real. That isn't that big of a deal when we grow food till like mid-November, but it feels like this year that I planned to be a lot easier actually isn't. Also, as I process this beautiful celery, right? Looks can be deceiving. It looks beautiful and perfect. I was intending the green celery for eating. Let me hop back to last weekend and show you all the pink celery that I processed that day because I had way more pink celery than I thought. And it wasn't the best for fresh eating. It was, well, Chinese pink celery is really thin, and I'll show you that right now so you see what I'm talking about. But it was like overwhelmingly a lot of harvest, which is great, but it's a lot. Okay, real day in the life. I am trying to go through, these are just pink celery. This bush. I'm trying to pull out the stuff that's like this, put it in the compost, and then get the pink celery. Some of it bolted, so that's not going to be the best. It might be a little bitter, but the ones on the side, I'm going to probably put them in baggies to make bone broth, and I will probably cut up the green ones that aren't even in here for eating. So what I'm learning from having to process all this celery, and this is only the pink celery from one of the beds. I have pink celery in another bed, and I've got a ton more green celery, is when I started celery, just hit myself in the face. When I started celery, it was kind of a fun experiment because celery is so expensive at the store, organic celery, but then also I had other people wanted me to grow or start the starts so they could buy them, and then not enough were sold compared to how many germinated because they germinated really well. They were tiny seeds, hard to even see how many were starting. I don't need this much celery. I don't eat this much celery. Most of this pink celery, I think it's just all gonna go in for bone broth. Look at that massive root. I'm gonna chop up, freeze the green celery as well, and then I'm just not gonna grow celery this year because we have way more than enough in the freezer and we don't eat as much celery as I grew. So this is like a learning thing with gardening. You will sometimes have different crops that maybe you only grow every other year. Maybe it's not something you want to give as much space to because celery, as it gets big, gets a lot of room, even though the seeds are so tiny. And so I think I want to use that room for other things. Okay, so right here, these are 2-gallon Ziplocs, completely full. I think I'm gonna fill another one. You can see they're actually really small celery. It's not celery that's really big for like putting peanut butter on or anything, but it will flavor our bone broth and we will enjoy it. 3 bags, gallon bags, I would say are pretty good of celery. So as you can see, I actually processed a lot of that for bone broth. We harvested recently 3 of our younger roosters. By younger, I would say they were hatched out, I think 8 months ago. So maybe a little bit older than you would like. And we roasted them. We thanked them actually for their lives. I used to be vegetarian. That's how I am. I do eat meat now, but I honor it. I actually want to give what we eat a good life and then be respectful of the life that was given for us to be able to eat. We also made a wonderful tortilla soup. My son did last night. Made a lot of bone broth. We put a lot of that pink celery into the bone broth because I don't like the smell of bone broth going in the roaster without something more fragrant like celery or onions in it. But this fresh eating celery, let me show you with realness. You know, this somehow, I don't know if it was a critter, I don't know if it was the cold, I just waited too long. It's a great size, but it's really, yeah. So I think some of this is actually going to be like the leaves and stuff saved more for more bone broth than fresh eating. I might be able to save like a little of this and chop it up for soups. This part is going straight in the compost. We have a compost bin. Yes, it's dirty on top, right in the kitchen. Throw everything away, cover. We'll put like shredded papers on it just to help take that outside, speed up the compost process from kitchen straws. Just to show you my counter, our chickens are finally laying eggs again. This is shallots that I probably should have planted because they're sprouting. I did plant some out, but I forgot about these and they're kind of dried up to use, so I might actually plant those out anyway. We have ginger. Some is sprouting. I need to put that in soil because I do grow ginger every year. Lots of apples from Azure Standard. I have a link below. If you have never signed up, you sign up and I think it's spend, I don't know if it's like $100 or so in a certain amount of time. It supports our family a little bit if you do it on the link I have in my description. That is there if you're interested. We've used them for like 16 years. So this year, we actually lost our bees over the fall and winter. We had 2 hives. I am trying to make elderberry to sell to buy more bees. I need to buy 2 nukes. It's better to have 2 hives at once than 1. It's just basically the same amount of work and you can have them help each other. These don't look that great in here either. Just honestly, I'm showing you, yeah. They seem kind of dried out, like I waited too long to harvest them, which probably is the case. I think I'm only going to be able to use this for bone broth, which is honestly disappointing, just like losing my bees. I don't know, guys. I feel like so much of life, we have 7 kids, we have so much going on all the time. It's just like rolling with the punches, not letting things derail me too much because this is kind of life I want to live. I like to grow food for my family. I like to give fresh food, but like this happens when you're an organic gardener. This happens when you grow your own food and they don't show you that kind of stuff at the grocery store. This is real and this is stuff that you have to be okay with or you're going to quit. I don't want to quit. So learning to be okay. Cutting it off, that part goes in the compost. Okay, so I think I found some that will be eatable for my daughter. My 7-year-old, almost 8-year-old daughter loves fresh celery. I'm just going to cut the leaves off of these and have these ready for her. for a little snack after dance. That's what she does. Okay, all is not lost. All is not lost. So in realness, this year has been a harder year than I actually anticipated. Those are over there. I'm a person of faith. That's something I need to actually be totally real with you guys as well, because that is what gets me through so many of the hard stuff. I don't know what I would do if I did not believe in my core of my core. I would see my grandma again. My grandma, she was wonderful. She is a gardening buddy to me. She grew flowers, not really veggies, but I grew flowers as well because of her. And so it is like a huge thing to not have her here to share things with as I start seeds, as spring comes, as things start to bloom. The peonies that she gave me is out in the pot, just about to bloom. And so that is a struggle, but I'm determined not to give up, not to quit, to keep going, because just because bad things happen doesn't mean that this isn't still the life I want to live. It doesn't mean I don't want to still grow things, that gardening's not important to me, that having quality whole food that we know where it came from isn't still super important to me. And I like hesitate to share that stuff with you guys because I think, gosh, people don't want to hear about all my problems. They don't want to hear about my celery that looks munched on by some critter. But if you think that someone on some screen on the computer's life is perfect, you're going to quit when things get hard. But if you know that other people can relate and they're not going to give up, I think that is my biggest strength more than realness, is that I don't give up easily. My dad used to say that grubs don't quit. That was my maiden name. You and I both, we can be overcomers. We can think of creative ideas like making elderberry syrup to sell to buy bees. There are things we can do on our homestead to make our homestead work for us. Everything doesn't have to be a dead end. There can be ways to do what we dream of doing. We just have to think outside the box. We have to be a little bit creative. And I often have sold veggie starts to pay for expanding my garden, for building a new garden bed, for putting in irrigation. There are a lot of ways we think outside the box to make this work and to not let discouragement and failure be the end of it for you. I've actually thought of offering coaching services. You can let me know in the comments what you think about that. It is definitely not solidified because I got to figure out the system and how much time I have to do it. With 7 kids, life is so full. We do dance, we do soccer, we pastor a church, but it's out there. It's a thought. Let me know what you think. But all that to say, I just want to come on here to say that you and I, can both be overcomers. We don't have to be derailed by even celery going wrong. We have beautiful things that we can make to feed our family. We made pumpkin bread from pumpkins that both we grew and that my cousin gave us. Ooh, I just slipped on the floor. Not going to cut that out. But we've been eating off pumpkin soup, pumpkin bread. We've been doing a lot of stuff to free up those shelves, to put the seed starts on as I kept them up to be bigger. There are beautiful ways to make this life have the rhythm and flow, to make it work for us, to make it work for you. That's my message today. My message is, do not be discouraged. Do not be discouraged. 2025 might be hard for you, like it is for me. But we are made to be overcomers. And we can learn and grow from our mistakes. Yes, I probably should have harvested this earlier, but life happens. I couldn't get out there. So I'm going to use it in the ways I can. We're going to have bits for soup. We're going to have bits for bone broth. We're going to have celery fresh. And that is our real life. I want to give you glimpses here and there of our life. We homeschool. There's always stuff going on. But we always come back home. We always come back to the homestead. This is our safe place. This is our gathering place. This is where we make life and we make family. And I know that a lot of you watch the same thing as I do. Be encouraged. Don't lose heart. We can overcome hard things. We even have currently hard things going on in our garden that are completely out of my control. Sometimes relationships are rocky with maybe those you live by, or maybe finances are rocky, but we can trust God with the things that are difficult. We don't have to do this life alone, even this homesteading life. We can have hope and support. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm going to keep cutting this up. I've actually got to run to another appointment for my kids, a doctor's appointment. Let's keep growing. Let's keep planting. Both you and I will get through things, and we will be so happy that we did not quit.